listeners and viewers also, it's always super exciting to come your way every Wednesday with your favorite business development program on Radio Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Masterclass is also brought to us by First Code Management Services. They say industry, get it right. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday at 1:15 p.m., 1:30 p.m., I beg your pardon, and runs all the way through to 2:15 p.m. here on your superstation, Joy 99.7. In the last couple of weeks, we've been having a very wonderful and well-resourced conversation, if you like, with a lot of information and content on facilities management. We've looked at the various aspects of it, introducing it, health and safety, and all the aspects of facilities management. We hope that we've been able to share some information that will help you if you are responsible for managing the facility in which your company works. If you are a CEO, you're a GM in charge of operations, if you're a facility manager, you're a private contractor, we hope that the information that we've shared here in the last couple of weeks has been helpful. Today, we culminate that conversation in a final edition of this conversation on facilities management, and today we're looking at environmental stewardship and sustainability. Last week we spent some time talking about health and safety, and the week before we spent some time talking about various aspects of this conversation. We're happy to have back here with us in the studio for this conversation the President of IFMA Ghana and the person of Mr. Kweku Samson Opare Ajiman. Samson, you're welcome back to the conversation.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Opening this show and preparing for this conversation today, I sort of had mixed feelings.
Yeah.
But like all things in life, nothing is permanent.
Sure.
And so we have to move on and hope that we get the opportunity to have this conversation again. But today we conclude our conversation on facilities management. Today we sort of bring it to a close.
Sure.
And leave some reminders, if you like, in the minds of our listeners and practitioners, across the country. I've had tremendous feedback from my contemporaries within the industry who have been listening to our show here. And I hope that today, if you're listening, they are not, please give them a call, send a message to someone. Remind them that Masterclass is live on Joy 99.7, and we're having the concluding edition of today's conversation on facilities management. We'd like to hear your voice when we get interactive. And so we can sort of round up and leave some conclusions or takeouts that we can all sort of refer to in our journey in managing our facilities, so that that contribution to the economy, our businesses, and Ghana as a whole will continue to be meaningful.
Sure.
So today, let's just do a quick recap. Last week, just a few sentences, and then let's sort of go straight into today's conversation on environmental sustainability and stewardship. I mean, one of the things that comes to my mind are the sustainability development goals.
Exactly.
I don't want to talk about sustainability, but I'm sure that we will go into that detail. So quick recap, and then let's go into today's conversation.
Thank you very much, Yel. A very good afternoon to our listeners.
Before you do that, though, just remind our listeners that we're streaming live on Facebook. You can always join us, myjoyonline.com, Masterclass, JB Masterclass, and you can also join us. And to remind us that today's show is brought to us by Goyle. They say good energy, and First Code Management Services. They say industry, get it right. If you're a startup investor, you're an SME, you're a business owner, you're looking for support in company formation, in business setup, in training, in research, First Code Management Services are the place to go. You can get through to them today on 0302 297 2263 or 0302 297 2264. First Code Management Services, they say industry, get it right. Quickly talk to us.
Thank you very much once again. A very good afternoon to our listeners, and a good afternoon to the IFMA chapter of Ghana, all the members across the nation. I want to say a big thank you to them for the support and for the feedback they've been giving to me after each masterclass. It's been very helpful, I must say. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I mean, for the past 4 weeks or so, we've been discussing facilities management, and it would be nice to just have a short recap of what we've been doing all this while. Yeah. Quite remember the first week we looked at facilities management, and we looked at the overview of facilities management, and then we're trying to bring home the profession facilities management, what it entails and what it is not. Yeah, I remember you asked a question that is facilities management a jack of all trade? That was an interesting one, and I remember I told you that not at all. Facilities management is a profession in the first place, and it has a scope. Okay, IFMA put the scope into 11 competencies, and every professional or trained facilities manager must be equipped with these 11 competencies. I must say that in Ghana, most of us have fell accidentally into the profession of facilities management. And when I go around, I meet facilities managers. I see about 80 or more than 80% untrained facilities managers, although professionals in the area of facilities management, because um, facilities management encompasses multiple disciplines. You find the electrical engineer doing facilities management, you find the architect, you find the mechanical engineer, you find more of the land economy guys, into facilities management. You find some surveyors doing facilities management. I must say that facilities management is not all the other professions that I've mentioned. Facilities management is a profession. It's a profession in the built environment, and we establish that the facilities managers ensures the safety of the built environment. They ensure the health of the people working from the space, and most of all, they ensure the productivity of the business. And therefore, facilities management add value, bring profit, and reduce cost of operations of businesses. And therefore, that is what we mention in a summary that facilities management is all about.
I'm sure we'll just share a few more thoughts when we get interactive.
Exactly.
But I think that this sort of summarizes it completely, if you like.
Exactly.
So let's go on straight to today's content.
Okay.
And then when we get interactive, we'll sort of
we'll sort of come back again.
Yes.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly, because of our time. Yeah. So today, we're going to discuss environmental stewardship and sustainability. Very important topic, not only for facilities managers, but because we are talking facilities management, we will try to narrow it a bit. I mean, in the discussion, we can open it up, but I would narrow it a bit to facilities management. Yeah. And facilities managers are professionals that work from the built environment, and therefore we'll concentrate more on the built environment. So we can talk of commercial built environment, we can talk of residential built environment, we can talk of industrial buildings, and we said the research has shown that those are responsible for nearly half of all global energy consumption and greenhouse gas emission. Very serious. Humans also spend about 90% of their time indoors. So we are talking the built environment now. You and I, most of our times, we don't spend it outside. We don't spend it in the natural environment. We are at our workplaces working from 8 to 5. Some work to about 9 o'clock, and then you move from there. You go to your house, spend some time, go to bed, and the cycle goes on like that. Research has shown that we spend 90% of our time indoors. That makes the facilities manager or the profession facilities manager a very key area in looking at when it comes to sustainability and environmental stewardship. This makes indoor environment very critical component of health and well-being and productivity and safety. Because if you are spending all this time in a built environment, then the question is how safe is our built environment? How healthy is our built environment? The air that we are breathing in our built environment, are they conducive enough? Are they healthy enough? Are they bringing us some illness, diseases that we don't know of? Diseases of VOCs, volatile organic compound that we inhale in our offices, in our built environment. It is very important that attention is given to these things, because we spend 90% of our time in the built environment. Yeah. Doing this, you see that we have some key challenges which affect our environment. Challenges that causes, illness, challenges that affect our working processes, challenges that affect even the environment at large. And so, because we are working and we are using so many things like energy, we are using water, we are using light, we are using furniture, and all these things are in a built environment. This is a space that we spend so much time in. Now, these things affect the environment, and how are we giving attention to them? How are we checking that because we spend all this time in the environment, these things are given the much needed attention, and they don't affect our health, our lives, our productivity at the workplace at the end of the day. Research has shown that energy facilities uses more than 30% of all global energy in construction and operations. We are talking about carbon footprints, okay, emission of CO2, okay, that affects humanity so much, both human and animals and the natural environment at large. And activities that we do as human beings, the facilities that we use, contribute 30% of the global energy in construction and operations. Those things exhibit or emits CO2. And what are the checks that we have in our workspaces? What are the checks that we have in our organizations to check some of these things? CO2 emissions, research again have shown that 40% of all the world's CO2 emissions come from buildings. And
40%.
40%, my brother, come from buildings. And therefore, the facilities manager cannot run away from sustainability and being an environmental steward. Okay? The facilities manager is a key agent of environmental stewardship. And he must be the lead, okay, of educating and getting people aware of the CO2 emissions. Again, we spend, like I said earlier, we spend about 90% of our time indoor, and we are talking about people here. Anytime I read about sustainability, I sort of think more of, now we have given statuses for the built environment, but I sort of think of more the people. I mean, the human involvement, and therefore focus must be shifted more from sustainability in looking at the built environment, buildings and construction and what have you, but put a focus on the people, because people spend all their time in this space, and at the end of the day, the effect is on human beings. The effect is not on the built environment. The effect is not on our building. The effect is on human beings. And therefore, we must think more awareness of human beings than even our buildings and our constructions. Yeah. So these are some of the things that affect us in our built environments. What is sustainability? I picked a definition from the UN Brundtland 1987. What did they define sustainability to be? The development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So as we develop today, are we thinking of the future? Are we just building the skyscrapers, and emitting all the gases that comes with it in construction without thinking about the future generations? Sustainability caution us that as we are doing this, as we are developing, as we are building our environment, what is more important is not to compromise the future generations. Yeah, not to compromise the future. And how do we do it? We do this by moving more into sustainability and finding alternative, safe ways of constructions, finding alternative, safe ways of using energy, finding alternative, safe ways of using water, and finding alternative, safe way of using our lands. That is all sustainability is talking about. For us in the built environment, IFMA puts sustainability in 8 major categories, and we can look at this. The first one, they talk about energy, and IFMA try to give the alternatives, okay, of energy that will reduce that 40% that research has shown that construction, emits. And if my is saying that we must move from, the artificial generation of energy to more sustainable, to more natural way of generating, energy. So we are talking about fossil fuels. We are talking about nuclear. We are talking about solar energy. We're talking about wind and ocean turbines. You can talk about more. And this is very key. This is very key in managing our facilities. Yeah, you were just discussing with me some challenges that you have, on the job, and your alternative, energy even went off. Failures at any time. But the more important thing that you have an alternative, okay, which is a natural and more sustainable way of, replacing your energy when your generator goes off. How many of us have an alternative energy to replace our generators, to replace our power coming from the main grid when we shut down? IFMA is saying that it's important that we have this alternative energy system to replace our grid system and our generators and water view. Water, how are we treating water? How are we treating water in our construction, in our irrigation, and in the usage in our homes? Are we checking even our plumbing systems in our home? How much water are they losing that we don't know? The facilities manager ensures that you are not just using water and losing water, but you are using water efficiently. Okay, using water efficiently. Materials and resources, both the built environment and all materials used within the built environment. What kind of materials are we using? What kind of material are we using? Natural materials that does not emit gases, that are not affect our environment. It is very important that we are cautious. The architects designing building are very cautious in selecting of what our materials for our finished products. Is very key. Then we talk of indoor climate, which we have mentioned it because we spend about 90% within it. We have to make sure that the indoor climate, the gases we are inhaling in our indoor climate are healthy gases. We have to make sure that we are not using materials that are emitting VOCs and water view. Even our cleaning agents, okay, the chemicals that we even use in our built environment, cleaning our floors, cleaning our washrooms and water view. What kind of materials are we using? Are they sustainable? Okay, are they materials that are not emitting hazardous, gases? Very important. The facilities manager is responsible for all these things. He must make sure that he's selecting environmentally friendly chemicals in doing all this. The facilities manager in all this sustainability business, we say the facilities manager is the primary partner to environmental stewardship and sustainability. Why? Because he is the person that is responsible for the functionality of the built environment. And therefore, one of the core competencies that must not be mixed, that the facilities manager must have, is the expertise in sustainability. Yeah, the expertise in sustainability. Quickly, because of our time, let's move to digitization, electrification, policy, and stewardship, which are just key investment to consider when we are building and when we are doing our businesses. One of the things we want to look at is the IoTs. Yeah, is the IoTs. Yeah, Internet of Things. Okay, trying to eliminate more of human, facing human involvement and use more technology. Okay, so that we are not emitting CO2 more, but rather we are reducing it and more oxygen into the atmosphere. One of the things that we did recently that's made me so happy in Ghana is the tree planting, national tree planting or something we did recently. Yeah, this is environmental stewardship, and the nation did so well in doing that. The planning that went in, the mitigation that went in, the preparation that went in, and how we all did it was very fantastic. And this is a stewardship that we encourage every business, to be involved in, every family to be involved in. Tree planting is one of the things that facilitates our SDGs, our Sustainable Development Goals. Your favorite area.
As you talk about all the things that we can do as facilities managers or in that field, I couldn't help thinking about the SDGs, and it's just as well that you mentioned them, because if you look at the SDGs, there are a few of them which speak directly to what you said, and your definition on environmental stewardship is so apt, because it's essentially, without too much talk, taking care of the environment that we work in through the work that we do as facility managers. I mean, someone else is going to hold the other side. Everybody's going to hold a piece of it. But you as an FM, what can you do in your activities or your actions, in the delivery of your role and responsibility to contribute to these SDGs? And there's one that is, staring at me very clearly, SDG 6. It talks about clean water. And sanitation. The reason I talk about that is that as an FM, the bit about clean water is where you are taking care of the people within your building to make sure that what they consume and what they use for their daily work is clean. The other bit is that the water that comes out as waste does not affect negatively the people within the immediate environment of where you live. And therefore, it takes me to the important topic of waste management. As an FM, it's also one area that you can share some thoughts with that on what some best practice can be on proper waste management as a function of FM in contribution to the sustainability conversation.
Thank you very much. It reminds me of a meeting we had with the Chief Executive Officer of EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, Honorable, bring your name again, Kokofo. Honorable Kokofo. He had a meeting with us, and he wanted to discuss sustainability in high-rise buildings. In high-rise building, and he was looking at waste management. He was looking at water, and he was looking at how to manage your elevators. And I feel that was very instructive. That was a very good thing that he did in bringing, all the people involved in ensuring proper waste management in our high-rise buildings. And this is very important. I mean, we are building high-rise buildings, and we are not ensuring how we will manage our wastes. We are not ensuring how we will manage water. We are not ensuring even how we will manage fire, outbreak. These are all sustainability goals. I mean, that must be met in construction. You understand it? And I made mention to him that one of the things that we can do, the high-rise buildings that have been built already, let them be. But the new ones that are coming, what measures are we putting in place to check that we ensure that there's proper waste management system in place, there's proper water management system in place?
This particular area, I'd like us to dwell on it a bit more, but I'd like us to do that when we get interactive with our listeners, because it's so critical. We need to pick up learning points from some of these things. We'll be getting interactive in a very short while. I'll be putting out the numbers shortly, but before we do that, I want to take a quick message from our sponsors. Then we open the phone lines, and then we can get interactive all through to the end of the conversation. We'll take a quick message from our sponsors right now.
In these moments of increasing uncertainties, firms are compelled to seek tailored solutions to reduce risk and grow their businesses. For startup investors, SMEs and business owners, First Code Management Services provides advisory and facilitation support for company formation and business setup, corporate secretarial and business compliance, accounting, research and market entry, as well as training and capacity building. First Code Management Services is your first point of call for your management support services. Talk to us today. Call us on 0302 297 2263 or 0302 297 2264. Locate us at 60A Westlands Boulevard, West Legon, or visit firstcodelimited.com for more. Industry. Get it right. Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your Superstation Joy 99.7, and we're here on the show again on Masterclass today discussing facilities management. We're rounding up our conversation today, so we're getting interactive in a few minutes, and when we do get interactive, we'd like you to pick up that phone, give us a call, let's have a conversation, let's share some final tidbits and takeouts on this entire conversation that we've had for the past 5 weeks. If you want to send us a comment too, we'll put out the numbers and then you can send us your comment. Just also remind us that we're streaming live on Facebook. Do join us and send your comments, and our production crew will make sure that we get it. Before we get interactive, though, I've got some great news for you. If you have any motor vehicle of any kind, Goil has some great news for you. Now, Goil is saying that you can use your GH Link card to purchase fuel at any of their over 400 stations. They also have the Go card, which helps you to purchase fuel. So what Goil is telling us today, great news, go ahead and use your GH Link card to buy fuel and lubricants from all of over the 400 stations across Ghana. Go cashless and protect yourself and stick to all the COVID-19 protocols. Goil, they say good energy. Goil, Yenara, Yedia. First Code Management Services also has some wonderful news. If you have a business of any kind, you started a business, you're already running one, you want to start one, and you need help with accounting, with research, market entry, with training, capacity building, with any aspect of your business setup, First Code Management Services are saying, give us a call today on 03022972263 or 03022972264. You can also send them a message or visit the website at www.firstcodelimited.com. First Code Management Services, they say industry, get it right. Phone lines are now open. Numbers to call 03022165541. That's 03022165541. If you're driving, please do not talk while you drive. We want you to concentrate because we want you to arrive alive. But otherwise, if you are able to park or you're in an office and you're listening to us, you want to be a part of this conversation, 03022165541. Or you can send us your comments on WhatsApp on 055-1111-997. That's 055-1111-997. Or call us on 0302-216541. I beg your pardon. Kweku?
Yeah.
Waste management.
Waste management.
Very briefly, because I've got a few more minutes. I want us to touch on as many things as possible.
Okay. So quickly, I mean, when we talk waste management in facilities management, I take it right from the design point, okay? The architects are involved here. Architects, how are you designing your buildings, the high-rise buildings, so that waste management is done easily? So at the creation from our homes, okay, how are we doing the waste management? Do we separate our wastes? You know, things like dry cell, small things like dry cell. We mix them with the kitchen, organic, wastes, and box them together. At the collection point, it is all put together again and sent to the landfill.
Paper,
everything,
metal, biodegradable. Everything is in the same place.
In the same place, yeah, in the same place. But talking about high-rise building, this is an area that we can do waste separation very easily. You see, because all these people living in the high-rise building, if it's 30 floors and it's 4 mini houses in about 60 or 100 families, okay? And then we have.
Hold that thought. I think I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Hello, my name is Nitepe and I'm calling from Bawi.
To me, Ni.
Bawi Village. Yeah, I want to contribute on waste management. What I have observed these days, around my area and most areas in Accra, people tend to be burning their rubbish instead of disposing them. And sometimes when you are in your room, this fume is so loud to the extent that it can even choke you. I wonder why this thing has been looked over. There's this waste management company that pick our waste. They can be there for over 1 month, 3 months, 3 weeks, 1 month and over, and they've never come to collect rubbish. Yet when it's time for them to come for their money, they are knocking on your doors.
Yeah.
I mean, we take everything for granted in this country. Everything is taken for granted in this country. I'm happy this thing is going on, and I hope from now, maybe, especially the waste management companies will set up and be up to to their game. Because if you come to my area now and a lot of area around the surrounding area, you see a lot of dustbins. People are now forced to buy 2, 3, 4 dustbins.
Wow.
People are forced to buy more than 2 or 3 dustbins because your rubbish will be there, and for weeks. This I think I wish I'm not remembering the name now. I'll just put their name across board.
I think it's fine, Nee. I think it's fine. The point is well made. But Nee makes a very strong point. I think I have another caller on the line. Let's take note of his consent. People burning stuff indiscriminately, and then the rubbish companies or the waste companies not picking up on time. I have another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name, where you're calling from, sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Harrison. I'm calling from Dodoa.
Harrison, my brother, how are you?
I'm fine.
Talk to me.
Okay. On sustainability, I think our architects need to be a little bit, they should step up their game a little with the high-rise buildings.
Okay.
You know, now we are experiencing, Ghana is experiencing a lot of commercial buildings in the capital. And then one of the issues that I've been looking for is that we can retreat or reuse the wastewater. Okay, we can recycle or reuse the wastewater instead of using it and then channeling it to the drain. And I believe architects or the engineers involved must be able to come up with a system, or the systems are already there, so that all this wastewater shouldn't go into the drain or shouldn't go to wherever they are channeling it to. But the same high-rise building can store the used water or the wastewater, retreat it, and pump it back to the system.
Right.
For it to be used.
Right.
I mean, it's doable. It's there. They are doing it. So in terms of sustainability, a lot of waste that we are generating can be recycled or can be treated and used back in society.
In the system,
so I think
yes.
we need to be thinking that way if we want to do proper sustainability.
Right. Thank you so much, Harrison. I mean, those are some thoughts also from Harrison, who was. Thank you so much, Harrison, for calling us. And he's talking about recycling wastewater. In other jurisdictions, they are recycling this and pumping it back instead of always using new water. Yeah. And the thing is that you make a saving, and then you also prevent the pollution because instead of dumping it dirty into and all of this water ends up in the sea anyway. So. He makes a very solid point. He also talks about improving the design features on our high-rise buildings, and I think you talked about that also. Let's talk about the burning and the smoke that my brother talked about, the first caller talked about.
Okay, so the first caller, mentioned the challenge of, waste management companies not coming to
picking on time, and then the aspect of indiscriminate burning.
Exactly. That's where the problem starts, It's very wrong to be burning this waste, okay? Because we are trying to avoid emitting CO2s into the atmosphere, and therefore you don't want to be burning.
Our cars and our motorbikes and our generators are doing a good job all by themselves. They can do bad all by themselves. We shouldn't add to it by burning.
Not at all.
So what we are saying is that if you must burn, use an incinerator.
Exactly.
An incinerator is not necessarily a big thing. It's like an enclosed space where you burn in. So you can create it. EPA, you can get help from the EPA in terms of the best way to do that. This is our recommendation. If you must burn, don't burn into the open atmosphere. Burn in an enclosed space. The waste companies, what's our takeout? What are we saying? Both from the FM side and also from the waste management company side.
Exactly. So we are encouraging is recycling at the end of the day. Okay. That's why we are saying that they must up their game by helping residents to separate their waste. Okay. Because sustainability promotes more of recycling of waste than just putting everything together and go and dump them in the landfill. And so they must up their game. They must pick their waste in time, and then they must make sure that they encourage residents to separate their waste. Some of my colleagues tells me that, look, I will separate it, but no company comes for it. Okay.
And it's a big conversation in Ghana. I know a few people like Environment 360. A few people have started, but it's such a big conversation. And I think that here on Masterclass today, we are adding our voice to that appeal. Let us all, as a people, begin to cultivate the habit of separating our waste from the collection point. And the waste collection companies, please also help us. When we separate them and you pick them up, don't put them back together. And it's like, what have we done? Because of the things that are biodegradable, you can create compost for the agricultural sector. Of the things that are plastic, you can recycle
of the papers
and use them to recreate new things.
Exactly.
Talk to us also about the procurement habits of an FM towards sustainability. And I asked that because I know that in some places they have stopped using plastic cups and plastic bags. and they're using paper.
Exactly.
Talk to us about that. How that, as a practice of procurement, can contribute to the sustainability
It contributes
conversation.
so much, but you see, the FM has a little power over here. I mean, you are moving now more to national. You are moving to government now.
No, even
There
in your
must be
space. I
policy.
mean, if you're a CEO or a GM,
Exactly.
at least some of the procurement for the facility comes to you.
Exactly.
So where it's under your control, what can they do?
Oh, so what you can do is, I mean, for instance, your water cups and what have you. We have plastic ones and we have paper ones.
Exactly.
In my space, I want to use paper ones, okay, just to improve, recycling and improve, biodegrading of materials in my space. Yeah, and I want to use, I don't want to go. One of the callers was mentioning about waste management and then septic tank system and stuff like that. Today there are more technologies coming up, and biofuel is doing so well, okay, in separating waste and recycling the water to reuse it again to water our compounds and what have you. And we are concreting every space in our homes. That's another thing that we need to mention.
The green is disappearing.
It's disappearing.
We're interactive right now. Numbers to call 0302216541. Send us a comment on 05511119997. This is Masterclass. As we have this conversation, a few other things come to my mind. You talked about the fact that we spend majority of our time indoors, whether it's in our homes or in our offices. Let me start from our homes. As homeowners, we are all our own facility managers when it comes to our homes. Nobody's managing that facility for you. Even if it's managed by a central landlord, your space is managed by you. What are some of the things we can do in our space? Open our windows regularly. Don't always close it up and use the air condition. If you're cooking within the same space, what are some of the practices? Just one or two tidbits. Because what I want us to do today is to go away with good practices that can help us in the sustainability conversation. What can a homeowner do in their space? Ventilation, lighting, that contributes to their own health and safety and also to the sustainability conversation.
Thank God we have a very good weather in Ghana. Okay, so why would you want always to lock yourself up in an AC? Why wouldn't you want to open up your windows and allow natural ventilation to go through your building? Why wouldn't you allow natural air to come to light up your space? Okay, ventilation is very, very key when it comes to sick building syndromes. Okay, you are there in your space alone and you are locked up. You always find yourself in an air condition. You are inhaling so many things that you will not see with this naked eyes, but they are full of.
As you say, you will not see. For those of us who are using air conditions in our homes, I strongly recommend that you do servicing regularly. The thing is, the day you take out that screen under the AC and you see the dirt in it, you wonder where that dirt came from because your doors are always closed. And that's why you talk about the sick building syndrome, because you are inhaling it. It is what is sort of screening or sieving off the air that comes in.
Sure.
And if that is dirty, what are you breathing? It's like a filter, Let's also talk about gas leakages in kitchens and the need for ventilation.
Exactly.
Otherwise, CO2 and carbon monoxide poisoning.
So most of us keep our bottles in our kitchens. A bad practice. We make sure that our bottles are not kept in our kitchen. They are kept outside, the kitchen, in the open. Okay, in a cage. In the open, so that you don't experience, leakages. And we make sure that we maintain our gas stoves also often in our bottles. Normally when we go to fill them, they do that for us, but you must also pay attention to it, okay, because it's very dangerous and it can cause a lot of.
Let's come to the workplace. Disinfections are a thing of the day to day because of COVID and fumigations, public health activities. As an FM, where is it important to understand the chemicals and the residue of the chemicals after they've been used within your space? Time to clean out, ventilate, the effect it has on occupants. Talk to us briefly.
Important, but shortly, you see, because we are not experts, in our homes, and we cannot be able to tell whether the chemical being used to fumigate our spaces are hazardous and stuff like that. Make sure that you are engaging a trained and qualified licensed. Today, EPA, I think it's EPA, it's licensing businesses that are approved to fumigate your space for you. Don't just call anybody by the street to come and fumigate your space for you, either indoors or outdoors. Make sure that you are engaging a licensed fumigation company to do that for you, because they are licensed and they are trained by the EPA and they are using environmentally friendly chemicals to fumigate your space for you.
Right. Okay. So let's also talk about the other alternatives of power, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Those may not directly be under the purview of the FM, but it's good to start thinking about them. You talked about wind, you talked about solar, you talked about nuclear, you talked about I think there were other things you
exactly
you mentioned.
So, yeah. So that's also very important.
I mean, inverters. People are using inverters in their homes
as
today,
well. Yeah,
you know,
inverters as well.
for
yeah.
batteries to store power.
So
why is that a good thing to do, and how does it contribute to the conversation?
So as much as possible, we are trying to minimize the use of the national grid energy, okay, and turn more into sustainable energy. And when we mention sustainable energy, we are talking about the solars, we are talking about the wind, we are talking about the fossil fuels and what have you. It's very important because as humans, we must protect this environment, okay? And when we there's a projection by the UN. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it, but if it's the year 2050 or so, they expect that cities will move about 50% to the use of more sustainable energy than using, generators and the natural grid and what have you. Or is to just to check the emission of CO2s and to protect human life and to protect trees and what have you, that we will live long on Earth. Our life expectancy will not be reduced to 20 years and 30 years. If we don't do this, it's going to get there. Yeah.
Much faster than it should.
Much faster than it should. Yeah.
Okay. We've had 5 weeks of conversation on facilities management. When we started, you tried to do a bit of recap and you touched on the various areas. If we remember nothing from this entire conversation on facilities management, what are some of the key things across the entire conversation that you want us to go away with? We've got just about 2 minutes to do this.
2 minutes to do that. So I made mention that we talk about maintenance culture in Ghana. And we have a saying that we have a bad maintenance culture in Ghana. And I've said now and again that we don't have bad maintenance culture in Ghana. What we lack is education of facilities management. And facilities management entails operations and maintenance, the backbone of facilities management. Let's begin to educate ourselves. Our technical units is to start running trainings and courses in facilities management. When we are educated, then we can apply the knowledge to manage our environment.
Quick, hold that thought for me. I've got a comment on social media. This one says, "Hi, my name is Enyo. I'm a chartered QS. My contribution to your program is for the team to look at mother bodies like RICS. They are the global guidance notes for sustainability. Sustainability encompasses some aspects like adding more windows to reduce the use of ACs and the use of recycled waste for carpets in buildings instead of wood or cement. It's not only waste management, it's a larger topic." Thank you so much, Enyo. You couldn't have said this in a better way, and I hope that we may have the time to further discuss the issue of sustainability, but we are so grateful for your comment, Enyo.
Exactly.
There's another one here from Nick Solomon. Nick says, "The debt you see on the screen under the AC indoor unit is not 100% debt. It also constitutes bioorganisms, Jesus, which is more dangerous than the accumulated dust. So please service your air conditioners." That's Nick Solomon. Nick, thank you so much for your comments there. I'm running out of time here, so maybe just one more thing we should take away from this conversation.
Exactly.
Or maybe two more
So
if
please
you can
allow
make.
me to say thank you once again to you for this opportunity given to the IFMA Ghana chapter. All we are saying is that IFMA chapter is ready. We have opened our doors for training programs. In August, we're going to have a professional training program. Just contact us on 020-177-0475, 020-177-0475, and it will be of help to you. We can come do auditing in your space for you. We do some for free, and then we'll be able to help your team to be trained as facilities management, to add value to your operations. And best of all, we want to remove the saying of bad maintenance culture in Ghana, and therefore let's do more facilities management.
Let's do more facilities management. This has been an exciting conversation over the entire period of 5 weeks. Kweku Samson Opariajiman, President of IFMA Ghana, has been spending time with us and shared some thoughts. Videos of these conversations are available on our Facebook page, My Joy Online. You can go there and watch them if you missed out on any of these conversations. Today we bring an end to today's conversation. Next week we continue with a totally different area, like we always do in business, to help our businesses to grow. Thank you so much. This has been Masterclass here on your Superstation. We come your way same time next week. Thank you for watching. Up next, we continue with the English.